Okay, as our final one for this episode session, we have, can a film ever be better than the novel that it's based on?
A film better than the novel?
I say yes.
Yeah. Well, Exhibit A, Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep? AKA, in film form, Blade Runner.
Absolutely.
Yeah, the book is a bit... it's got some good ideas, poorly realised. But the film is standout, sterling stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm sure there'll be a lot of others where... I'm trying to think now. I've read a lot of books.
Have you? My goodness.
Yes, I knew you'd jump in there. I've read a lot of books that have been made into films, and I have to say... normally it's the other way around. I mean, I'm thinking particularly Exhibit B, Richard Matheson's I Am Legend. Brilliant book, awful film. Well, certainly the
Every
Will
single
Smith
version
one.
of them's awful.
Yeah,
They've never done it properly.
Charlton Heston.
The Omega Man.
Is that it? Not impressed.
No.
But, I always bring up Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep, and I'm trying to think...
I'm going to posit a one for you.
Scanner Darkly?
June.
Now, see, the film was ruined by studio meddling, but there is apparently a much longer version of the film out there, which is a much better film. And I think that... See, I always enjoy the film. The film is nice and neat for me, but the actual book, Dune, by Frank Herbert, it feels to me when I read it like two books jammed together.
Because it basically is.
The first half is good. The second half, not so.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, it's contentious. I like the film, but sometimes it helps to see the film before you read the book. Yeah. And this is something that my grandfather told me. He was a big Tom Clancy fan. And he'd read all the books that were then out when the film Hunt for Red October came out. And he slated the film because he'd read the book beforehand. And he said, it's the book is so much better, the film is rubbish. But I watched and loved the film and then read the book later. And I can enjoy them both.
I know what you mean, because I'm very much the same with that. The film is good, it's very concise, but the book has an awful lot more background to why the Russians are defecting. And also, it goes on a lot further after the end of the film. There's an entire second section that's just not on screen.
It's interesting as well, actually, that Ramius, Sean Connery's, the Russian with the strange Scottish accent, he's a reoccurring character through the series of books.
Well, yeah, he's a compelling character in the book.
Yeah.
So you bring him back. I'm trying to find an example of a book that the film is better, and it's really difficult because I put out June thinking we'd have a longer discussion on that because I don't think the film is better than the book. The film has its major downsides, and it's not well written, it's not well acted. The effects take over for a lot of the storytelling. Most of the book is cut out, and it starts on page 50 without any of the character backgrounds. So,
I'm thinking, I'm trying to think.
The moment we finish and turn this off, we'll think of something else. This is one we will end up coming back to.
Probably a film adaptation of Charles Dickens' books. A Christmas Carol. It's a film with Alistair Sims. Better than the book.
I've never seen the film. I couldn't tell you.
It used to be on every single Christmas. Where were you?
I was playing with He-Man.
Oh, right. Okay. But no, what about the film Apocalypse Now? How would you compare that with Heart of Darkness?
Never read Heart of Darkness.
It's only a very short book.
Still never read it.
It's see Conrad.
The phone book's very short these days. I've not read that either.
There we are. There's Heart of Darkness. It's like a pamphlet.
Basically, yeah.
Conan Doyle, Hounds of the Baskervilles.
Never read the book.
Better.
Never read it.
A lot of them are close. I think that the films always have an uphill struggle because they're much more limited in the time that they can give over. I know one that's better. Ian Fleming's Goldfinger. It's one of the few Bond books, actually, that I've read the book. and the film is so much better than the book. In the book, it's just so pedestrian. And it doesn't think big. It's got James Bond actually ends up being pressed into service as against his will as being Auric Goldfinger's secretary, and just the best way I can describe it is that the first third of the book is fairly close to the film. The second third starts to stray, and the final third is just nothing like the film. And the film is so much better than the book. So it probably stands to reason that actually a lot of the Ian Fleming James Bond books work better in film form than they do in book form. But certainly Goldfinger is one which I can first-hand attest that the film is better than the book.
Right. I had one, and I've forgotten what it is. I'll be back in a moment.
You've got
Sorry about that. Yes, there was one, and...
What about Lord of the Rings? Was that better in film form than in book form?
I think it's condensed, but the problem with the Lord of the Rings films is that the people who wrote the script, and it's in the special features on the extended versions, they think they know Tolkien's world better than Tolkien, and it's very arrogant. And it comes across in some of the filming, where they decided that absolutely Faramir must get tempted by the ring, despite the fact that, no, it's about moral purity. He is uncorruptible, the same as Tom Bombadil was. But Tom Bombadil's cut entirely from the film.
Mm.
And they decided that Faramir would get tempted by the ring. And that's not what he's about. The point was that Boromir has been corrupted by his father, and his father's lust for power above all else. He got corrupted, despite being a guy of pure heart. But Faramir was never his father's favourite. He was always pushed aside, and as a result, he wasn't corrupted by his dad's ambition for power and his desire to be able to keep ruling Gondor. So Faramir doesn't have the nurture side. It's all about nature versus nurture. Faramir is not corrupted by the ring. But in the film, he is. Because the film writers thought they knew better.
Nerd side representing.
Sorry,
it.
but that is a sore point. Here's one that a lot of people probably haven't seen the film. H.P. Lovecraft's Call of Cthulhu.
Okay, so what's the film?
The film was made by the H.P. Lovecraft Historical Society, and it's something that was filmed in a few weeks, a few weekends, in someone's garage, in someone's garden, things like this. But it's done in silent film style, and it is beautiful. The book has a guy murdered by, and I quote, a nautical-looking Negro, and he's murdered by this person not because they're evil, but because Lovecraft doesn't like black people.
Yeah, he was very much a racist. Yeah. He makes other racists go off. Come on, tone it down.
Yeah, come on, it's a bit rough. The problem with Call of Cthulhu is there are some brilliant ideas. Some of the speeches and some of the quotes are amazing. It pretty much embodies the point where horror went from ghost stories to this is modern horror and this thing is scary again. But the problem with it is it goes on and on about savages and lesser races and things like that, and how mankind could be corrupted by that kind of thing. It runs through all of Lovecraft's work if you read him. And that's a problem that the film doesn't have. The film takes the ideas of the actual horror, the unknowable thing that is going to do what it wants regardless of what we do, and we can't stop it, we can just delay it. And that is the forefront of the story. So it distills the original story into something that's brilliant.
Well, could you not also argue The Thing is based on At the Mountains of Madness, is it?
To a certain extent it is, but The Thing is its own thing.
Really?
Yeah.
Well,
because you've got to remember, The Thing is actually a remake of The Thing from Another World.
I think what we've shown, there are examples, and if you think long and hard enough, you can probably find more and more examples. More often than not, the films, through a variety of reasons, most notably lack of time. You can't have a film that's 8 hours long. People get bored halfway through. That's why you end up with trilogies, really.
Yeah.
There are restrictions on film which aren't there for books. I actually think Edith Nesbit's The Railway Children, the 1970s version with Jenny Agutter, That's quite a pleasing film, and the book is good, but is the film better? I don't know. I think this is one that the comments are going to stack up. We would love to know what you think about this, and indeed if there's any other examples of films that you feel are better than the books that they're based on, we'd love to know about it. Put them in the comments down below, or also strike up a conversation on Twitter using the hashtag Sci-Fi Chat Podcast.